Thank you so much for joining me as I drive out to work and talk about Ys X Proud Nordics. And I have to give a huge shout out to NIS America for providing me with a review code. I'm really grateful for that because while I was definitely interested in trying this game out and playing it, I wasn't expecting it to impress me as much as it did, because it is a very impressive game that has impressed me in more ways than one. And the first impressive thing I want to talk about with this game is just how high quality the Nintendo Switch 2 version of this game is. This game really looks amazing in handheld, and it runs amazing. And I love that they provide options which you can toggle between for a performance mode and a graphics mode. That is really cool, or I should say I think they call it a quality mode, but that is really cool. I've just went ahead and put it straight into performance mode, and honestly, it looks great in handheld, runs great in handheld. I haven't noticed any stutters, any really frame drops that I could discern, and the game is just a lot of fun. It's an action RPG where you're setting out on this grand adventure. You're setting sail across the seas, kind of like a pirate, and you have these epic boss battles. You have amazing music, an amazing story. The game is just really high quality, and it surprised me in that way as well, because I can honestly say that while I was playing this game last night, like, I started telling myself, like, wow, I'm actually feeling something, like, between the music, the characters, the story, the writing. Like, the game had me feeling something, which is impressive, but I will admit that I do believe that JRPGs, especially story-driven RPGs, have a strong point in doing that to begin with. But the quality of this port is just really good. I played another Falcom game recently, a Switch 2 version of it, which was Trails in the Sky First Chapter, and I can honestly say that Ys X Proud Nordics looks even way better than that game does for handheld mode on the Nintendo Switch 2. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that's because I heard that the original Ys Nordics for the Switch used a new engine that Falcom went with to really optimize it for the Switch 1. So I'm guessing that they just went ahead and used that same engine again and just used the DLS technology. I did read that online, that this is the first Switch 2 game that's taken advantage of the DLSS technology to get the game running at 120 frames per second. Now, I don't have that kind of equipment myself to test it and see the frame rates or if there's any frame drops, but I can just say that the game runs buttery smooth and looks absolutely great in handheld mode on the Switch 2. Now, supposedly the settings are 120 frames in handheld at 720p, but the 720p actually looks really good. It doesn't look anything like if you play one of those Switch 1 games that hasn't been optimized for Switch 2 at 720p and looks all blurry. No, this actually looks crystal clear, crisp on the Nintendo Switch 2 screen. And you also can increase the resolution to 1080p in handheld, but then you would drop the frame rate from 120 to 60, which really isn't a big deal. I mean, you got lazy companies out here making 30 frames per second ports on the Switch 2 right now for games that aren't even all that demanding. So I really have to commend Falcom, really have to shout them out and give them their props for really making a well-optimized game for the Nintendo Switch 2. But I just also want to say that the combat in this game is a lot of fun. You can do something, I forget if it's called like duo or duel, where you're controlling two characters at the same time, and that you hold the button and they stay kind of chained to each other, and they can guard, they can do like certain special attacks with each other that are strong. And another thing about this game is that it seems like the more you play, the more moves you unlock and the more the gameplay opens up to you, which is a lot of fun as well. The music is top tier, and I will say that after having played Trails in the Sky First Chapter, this game does just feel like it has a little taste of that Trails to it, where you can kind of go around, talk to all the NPCs or hear what they have to say, but you definitely don't have to spend your time doing that if you don't want to. So I don't think that detracts from the overall experience of an Ys game. If anything, it just adds to it. And this is only my second Ys game that I've ever played after Ys Origin. for the Nintendo Switch 1. That was more of a kind of old school port of a game that started out, I think, on the PC and PSP. So this is definitely more of a big adventure. This is a AA company, so graphically, you know, this isn't any Final Fantasy VII Remake level game, but wow, it is really impressive how good they got this game to look and run on the Switch. And I just also want to shout out Falcom real quick for what they're doing. Excuse me, my throat. And I just want to also say that I believe these AA JRPG developers are really helping to keep the game industry afloat, because AAA games are great, but we all know how long they're taking to develop, how long we're having to wait in between releases. But Falcom, they put out Trails in the Sky first chapter not that long ago, and just this year alone, they've put out Trails Beyond the Horizon, Ys X Proud Nordics, they have Kyoto Xanadu coming, and they have Trails in the Sky second chapter coming all this year. So JRPG fans are definitely eating good thanks to AA JRPG publishers or developers like Falcom. So shout out to them for making such a high quality game, and shout out again to NIS America to providing me with this review code, because I'm definitely determined to see this game through to the end. I've only played about 5 hours so far, but just in those 5 hours alone, I can say that this game is very impressive. And if you're a fan of action games, action RPGs, and you have a Nintendo Switch 2 right now, I would say this is one of the most impressive games out there that you can play, and I highly recommend picking it up. But I do want to be honest about everything in this review. Even though I got a review code, that doesn't mean I have to lie, right? I know a lot of people don't like these game key cards, excuse me, but I still want to say I don't think this game is worth skipping out on. If you want to wait for a sale or get it digitally, do whatever you have to. But if you like action RPGs, I can't say I've fully played through this game yet, but from what I've played of it, this does seem like a JRPG that is 100% worth your time. But anyway, that's all I have to say in this short first impressions video. I really do appreciate you all watching so much. Sorry for the background noise. As I said in the beginning, I'm recording this on the way to work because time is short and I work nights. I wanted to get up and record this today, but I just had to recover from working the night shift and make sure I got some sleep in. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Please hit the hype button to help me out in the algorithm. If you like Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 content, please consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already. And I will definitely look forward to catching you all on the next video.